Hey, what's up, North County? I'm your host, Randy Doty, and today we are talking about the 805 Premier Lamb and Goat Sale today with Elizabeth Wagster. And Elizabeth, thanks for coming in first, for sharing us what's happening this coming weekend, right?
Yes,
The
definitely.
event is happening this weekend, but little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I am currently 18 and I graduated high school last year, so now I'm a freshman in college. And I am a consigner, so a breeder for the 805 sale. And I've had lambs in the 805 sale since its first year. So I believe this is the third year of consigning lambs to that sale. I myself breed Southdowns. So I have about 130 Southdown ewes, and I am consigning about 10 lambs this year, along with several other breeders who I'm very fond of, that I've gotten to know very well over the years of not only myself showing lambs and competing, but also being able to know them on a breeder level and just from a marketing standpoint.
Elizabeth, tell me a little bit about growing up. So, did you start in like the 4-H showing what did you start with, a rabbit or something? Is it?
So I joined 4-H when I was 5, and initially I showed chickens, since you can't show large animals until you're 9. And then we had sheep growing up. My parents got them initially to train dogs, and I decided that I love the Southdowns. And when I was 8, I wanted to breed my own show sheep. So I took the 13 ewes that my parents gave me, and
At what age was that?
that was at 8.
At 8.
Yes.
Okay.
And then from there, it's expanded to what my project is now, of 130 ewes that I breed and sell all across the country.
What led to let me step back to the chicken, showing a chicken. I mean, I know you see when you do the hogs and you do the sheep and stuff like that, there's a little bit of training in that. What do you do with the chicken?
So, not gonna lie, it's been a while since I've handled a chicken. But I had my own breeding project of chickens too when I was little. So I would
At 5?
yes. So I would raise the chickens, and then you had to get them all cleaned up, and then you would present them just like you do any other animal, and there were specific steps that you had to go through to like show the face, eyes, beak, and then wings, all of that.
And this came from, do you have siblings, older siblings?
No, I do not have
So
siblings.
you're an only child?
Yes, I'm an only child, but my dad was very involved in 4-H and FFA when he was growing up, and so that just kind of passed down to me, and I've always been around livestock, so I knew that that was something I wanted to be involved in, and just started very young for me.
Tell me about growing up in kind of that Western life, way of life, I guess, getting up early, feeding the animals, doing the work, tell me about growing up like that.
I think growing up in an ag family is a wonderful way to build character as well as responsibility. From having to wake up every morning and feed all the animals, I'm down in the barn every day up until it's pretty dark at home. I've got the lights on and I'm still working. And learning to balance what I have at home with all the livestock. And then I was also very involved in FFA throughout high school, so that entailed public speaking for me and then leadership, as well as I was on the livestock judging team, and learning how to balance all of those different things and develop time management, as well as have countless animals that relied on me, was able to help develop who I am today and taught me a lot of valuable life lessons that will be available to me in the future.
So you say it helped kind of develop you into what you're at now, and your foundation as a person?
Yes, definitely.
So when you started at 8, you kind of transitioned into the lambs, right?
Yes, so that's when I started wanting to breed my own sheep, and then when I was 9, I was old enough to start showing them, and it was really just one giant snowball effect from there. So it went from 13 sheep to now I'm at 130. I've been at that number for a couple years now. That's about the max of what I can handle personally.
So when you started breeding, where did you get your initial stock?
So my initial 13 ewes, those came from my parents.
Okay.
And then I bought 2 rams on online sales. And from there, I've kept replacement ewe lambs, so the daughters of the ewes that I have. And then I've also bought ewes and I've bought rams. And then there's also online semen sales where I can do artificial insemination for my sheep.
Does the stock, keeping the same stock, revolving, is that ever become an issue? This, like the same foundation.
Where they get too close genetically?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something you want to be careful of. That's where I've started using artificial insemination, or we call it AI. And that just allows you to purchase frozen semen from other breeders across the country. You can bring in those new genetics, and that keeps everything distant enough in terms of relation.
When you're looking for, the using for your artificial insemination is, what do you look for in that animal? Is there certain qualities, certain traits, certain history? How do you find, I'm assuming that you're looking for the best quality.
Yeah, so what each breeder looks for kind of varies from flock to flock. So for me, since I raise Southdowns, I obviously want the rams that I purchase or buy semen from to be Southdown sheep. And then it's really just based off of not only their genetics to make sure that they don't line up too much with my own sheep, but also how the sheep appears phenotypically. So you want them to kind of look like your show sheep in terms of they're going to be wide over their rack or rib and loin to primal cuts that you would see in the store. And then you want them to be heavily muscled. And then from the profile, from the side view, you want them to be well balanced and kind of have that show ring look. It's just really developed into more of a trend. So like we like them to be level down their top line. You want them to be higher in their chest forward than their flank. It's just the little trends and ideas that people in the show world have decided are what we need our sheep to look like. So you want to mimic that as much as possible.
So you started this at 8 years old, which is amazing, by the way.
Yes.
I mean, I think about 8-year-old kids that I know, and I'm going, oh my gosh, I don't think they can do what you did at 8 years old, even at 5. But from 8 years old to say beginning of high school, what kind of changes did you learn during that journey from when you first started to going into high school, being your own breeder?
So right before high school was COVID, for me at least. And so there were actually a lot of shows that were popping up around that time where just a lot of people didn't want to have, for at least in the show industry, their kids stuck at home. So shows would come up and you would go and be able to meet so many people, which was fantastic for me being right before that high school era in my life where I would have to be around people and develop social skills, but I was still around people that had similar interests to me and similar ideas of what they wanted to do. And being able to build those connections was something that I feel like has really helped me over my time in not only showing, but being within the livestock industry. It allowed me to build connections and learn how to start relationships with people that would help me down the road, that I could build a connection with to help benefit me not only in terms of later on in life, but also then and there that I could learn from, that I could gain knowledge from, and just expand my own opportunities.
Now, doesn't the 4-H and the FFA Foundation, all the stuff that you just mentioned, as far as, being able to speak and talk and, kind of build your own business, isn't that kind of one of the reasons behind those organizations that help you develop as a...
Yes, a large part of both 4-H and FFA is public speaking and being able to build connections and develop into a potential leader. So personally, when I was in FFA, I did several public speaking contests that I was fairly competitive in. But for me, that really started even younger in 4-H. I would do like 4-H presentation day, for example, and then do presentations at meetings. And that just developed as I transitioned into FFA and now in college.
Do you think you get that from your parents? Are they into public speaking and, very forward as a person?
My parents are both fairly outgoing people. My mom, she did not grow up in the agriculture industry, but she's a very well-spoken individual. My dad is extremely social. I think anywhere he goes, he knows someone, and if he doesn't know anyone, he'll have a best friend by the end of the day.
Well, that's the beauty where we live. Is living in this small town area that, it's a plus and it's a minus, because everybody knows you, right?
Yes,
And I'm
definitely.
sure, there's a lot of people that knew you, knew their parents. So there's not a lot of hiding here.
No, there's definitely not. It's incredible how everywhere you go, you see people that you've met in the past or went to school with, and then you're able to build upon those relationships and kind of keep them alive.
So you go from 4-H to FFA when you go into high school,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So you started into high school, and you said that you were on the judging team. Did you start that as a freshman?
Yes, I did start my career on livestock judging as a freshman, and then my junior year, we actually won state as my judging team. And so senior year, once you win state, you can't continue in the state contest. So
Oh, really?
yeah. So that my senior year was more just practicing, keeping fresh on everything. And then I did focus a little bit more on showing that year since I didn't have as many contests to go to. But then I knew that I wanted to judge in college. So now I am on a livestock judging team at the collegiate level.
In Texas.
Yes.
So what's the difference between judging in Texas versus in California?
I think it's really just a high school to college change in that the teams are larger. So now they're like, so my college has 12 kids on their judging team. Some colleges have up to 40. It really depends on the school and the coach. And you do go to a wider variety of contests. So I'll go to contests in Texas. I've been to Oklahoma, Kansas. We're going to Nebraska. Like, it's just really the traveling and getting to know people. And it's extremely rigorous in college. There's practice at 6 a.m. in the morning. Some days we'll go till dark.
Was that a scholarship
Yes, I do go to college on a scholarship.
for judging?
Yes.
No kidding. Wow. And what is the difference? Is there any different animals that you guys are judging back there than you do out here, or are they all the same?
You still judge sheep, goats, pigs, and cattle. We do see a lot of like long-eared cattle, so like Brahmins and stuff like that. We'll see more of that down in Texas than we would here in California. So that's really the main difference. And then like just kind of regionally up north and in California, we get more like hairy steers. So they'll have like super long hair that's fitted. In Texas, you get slick steers, so they're shaved off and their hair's really short. It's just mainly in the cattle, I feel like, is the difference.
Yeah. In high school, how many of the lambs and goats did you have? Because you started at 8 with 13. What were you doing during high school?
I have no idea how many sheep I showed. I honestly can't even remember them all. I would show about 11 to 14 sheep each year because I also jackpotted and went to national shows alongside the county fairs. So that allowed me to have quite a high number of lambs in my barn. I did show a few goats. Lambs were really my passion, so I pretty much stuck with that all the way through.
And you never wanted to transition into like the cattle, the steers, or anything?
I showed a couple heifers. Since my family, we also raise cattle, but I really like the sheep. They're by far my favorite. I showed a few pigs, and I jackpotted those, and they were very fun for me, but I love the sheep, and I always have.
So we're talking about the Premier 805 Lamb and Goat Sale coming up this weekend at the Paso Robles Event Center Sunday, right?
Yes.
I believe that starts at 9 o'clock, where
Yes,
you
sir.
can start, and then the auction and all that stuff will proceed. But tell me about the breeding part of it, because I find it pretty fascinating of how big and how much of a demand there is for animals, and I should say the limited availability of animals that these kids that you would think, oh, just somebody has a sheep, has whatever, but it's much bigger than that. Tell me a little bit about that.
So the wonderful thing about the 805 sale is there's so much diversity in terms of what you can purchase there. We're going to have multiple different breeds that can go into divisions. So like myself, I've got South Downs. There's multiple breeders that'll have Dorsets and speckled face sheep. And then the most common, just the black face crosses. We'll have some Hamps. And just allowing people to purchase that from that large of a variety of sheep, I think is really fantastic, since we do have divisions at so many of our fairs, jackpot shows, state shows, national shows. And then what I also think is really special about the 805 sale is it caters to each kid's goal. So whether that kid's goal is to just have a good project that's a good experience and easy for them, or if they're hoping to hang a banner up, no matter where their goal is in between those two ends of the spectrum, we have sheep that can fit that kid's needs. We have sheep that can hang banners at your show, be class winners, be good showmanship sheep, or just all around complete a good project for each of these kids. And I think that's something that's really special about not only the sale, but also the breeders that are involved in this sale, is they're so willing to work with each of the kids that purchase their lambs or goats from them. They're willing to help them with feeding, help them with showmanship, give them any tips or advice that they have, and pass it along to those kids that are purchasing animals there. And all of the breeders that are going to be there, they're very outgoing people. They're willing to help each of these young members that are showing sheep, which is where I was not that long ago. And
Right.
knowing that you have that support in such a fantastic industry is something that I think is very special about the livestock and breeders over here on the Central Coast.
How many are you breeding a year for, like, these events?
How many do I breed?
Uh-huh.
So I've got 130 ewes that
Right,
I breed,
this year.
and then
Or
yes.
is that consistent every year? Kind of fluctuates between.
The last few years, that's been pretty consistent for me. I've kept a lot of replacement ewe lambs in the past, so lambs out of my original ewes. And so that helped me develop numbers pretty quickly, because I would keep like 20 to 40 ewes there for a couple years. Now I'm trying to hold it pretty steady at 130. I don't really want to go over that. It's a little much to handle. That's
Now,
for
will you
sure.
deplete your whole stock this weekend?
No.
Okay.
No, I will not. So I'm taking 10 to the 805 sale, and like I've sold lambs private treaty. I've got lambs going to other sales, and then I'll have more that are bred later you can sell to other shows in different regions that'll be at later dates. So like fall shows or areas that show just later in the year.
So when you have your, newly birthed stock, can you envision like an animal that is worthy, or, like this, like I know when you guys go to the 805, there's one, I think all the breeders bring one for the $600
Yes,
pen,
all the
correct?
breeders will bring a lamb for the $600
And
pen.
so what makes that a $600 one versus an auctioned one? Is it based on some of the lines, the back, the
Yeah,
leg?
it's based off of the quality of the lamb. So like how wide they are, how powerful they are, and how unique they are looking. So just kind of going back to those like show ring trends, it's how many boxes do they check? So a lamb that checks all of the boxes, those are going to be more of your auction, like bid board or pen sale sheep. And then like the $600 sheep, those are just really complete sheep. Maybe like they're still wide over their rack and out their hip. They've still got muscle, but they're just not going to be like as flashy as cool.
So they're kind of like your entry.
Yeah, they're
Level.
more of just like a good solid project sheep. Maybe for a few of those kids that are looking for just a good experience, that want just a solid sheep to show. Maybe they're not going to win a banner necessarily, but they just want a solid, good experience.
So when you deliver that project to a child or family, do you follow that animal like through their journey, and part of my stock was best of show, grand champion. You ever follow it through the journey and the path?
Yeah, I have followed a lot of the sheep that I have sold in terms of just keeping a relationship with the people that I've sold sheep to. People can send us pictures of how their lambs are looking at that time. Then we can give them advice on feeding or exercise, and just kind of keep up on how that kid's doing with that lamb, and allow them to not only have the best experience, but then for us as breeders, know exactly how our lambs are looking.
So growing up, when you were showing your own animals, where was your wealth of knowledge? Where did that come from? I understand your dad, but did you reach outside the box to anybody or anywhere?
Yes, I showed not only my own sheep, but also a lot of sheep from several other breeders, and I would just ask them questions. I think that's the best thing you can do as someone that's showing and trying to learn more is ask all of these breeders questions because they have years or decades, even some of them, of knowledge. And to be able to draw upon that knowledge that other people have is something that can really help you down the road with your sheep or goats, no matter what you have, just being able to have that well of knowledge that you can draw from. For example, Adam Mendoza will be there with Associated Feed, and anyone that has questions about feeding, he would be a fantastic person to go talk to and just start a conversation with him, see what he knows. Because I know from experience that he is wonderful at working with kids, at helping kids, and at answering questions. And then each breeder, they know their sheep pretty well from the genetics. They know how their sheep are going to grow, kind of what's going to work with their sheep, what feeds are going to work best with their sheep, what exercise routine you're going to need. And just being able to talk to those people, I think, is one of the most beneficial things that you can do.
Has the feed quality or I should say technology, in the food, in the feed from obviously when you started to now, has that been a drastic change or has it been pretty much the same for the last, 10, 12 years?
I'd say that feeding has very dramatically changed from when I
And
started
how
showing.
so?
So when I started showing, there were a similar amount of base feed, so that would be like the main feed that your sheep is eating, but the supplements have increased dramatically. When I started, there were really like 5, maybe 10 main supplements that people would use. There were others out there, but just in terms of the main ones that were being used, it was really just a handful.
Like
And
what? Like what would be
now,
the main ones?
well, I know like Gold Dust has been out there for years. We still use it today. It's a wonderful product. We've got Keep It On and then a bunch of Associated's products and just ones that have been around for a few generations. But today, like I know there's dozens of products that Rule makes, Associated's made more products, Standalone, all of these feed companies have just continued developing products to help sheep build muscle, to help their joints, help hide and hair texture, keep them lean, whether maybe you need to put a little more fat on your sheep. Just same as what people take, really, just like all the vitamins and minerals that we take every morning. They're just developing more and more for sheep. Some of them are more complex, they have more ingredients in them, some of them are more basic. It's just the feed technology has developed exponentially since I started showing.
Does the additional products you're saying the supplements, there's probably a wealth of, different supplements that you can give to your animal. Which ones have made the biggest differences that you feel in year to year?
I would say that probably the protein supplements have changed a lot. But then you can also say that the fat supplements have changed a lot. I know they've been working with percentages and different like fats and proteins that you can use and how they affect sheep, whether it's more of a sugar-based product or an oil-based product, whatever it is, and just figuring out what's going to work best with the sheep and goats, what's going to impact how they're growing, how their cover's coming along, how their muscles building, all of that, and just really the feed technology.
For somebody that's wanting to get their child into like a 4-H program, because obviously it definitely builds character. I can tell that by in the way that you speak. If somebody wants to get their child into that, where do you send them to? Because I know there's a bunch of different 4-H groups, just here in the North County. What's the focus, or where would they go to get more information, or how to get involved?
All of the 4-H groups and FFA clubs in this county are pretty phenomenal. I know all of them have fantastic leaders that are willing to work with the kids. Most of the groups have like the main like sheep, goat, pigs, and cattle leaders. And so to join a group, you need to make sure that there is a leader for whatever species you're willing to show. Past that, your leader would be willing to help you. Whoever you buy your animal from would be more than willing to help you in terms of giving you feeding instructions There's people that will help you with showmanship, including not only your group leader, but also people within the county, some older showmen like me and several other people that showed similar to me. I know like will take on a few kids each year to help them and just
So you kind of mentor them a little bit along the way.
yeah, and there's tons of kids in this county that are willing to do that and help people that are younger than them. That's a wonderful thing about the 4-H and FFA organizations is you're able to find those people with a little bit more experience that have been doing this for a few years, and then they will in turn help the people that are just starting and kind of bring them more into the organization and help them be more competitive and just have an all-around good experience with their project. Teach them like what'll keep them from struggling with their sheep or goat, how to feed, how to clip, things like that.
It's funny because Audra from Premier Ag, is one of those like yourself, loves to, mentor and help the kids, get to that because you guys have already been through that, that whole process, from young to, now. And there's so many changes and so many probably tweaks and little things that you can do that you learned along the way, maybe on your own, maybe through somebody else's, knowledge, but, to give back to these kids because, never going through 4-H myself, and hearing it like you and Audra talk, it sounds like it's not just, you're just going to go and raise an animal, feed it, and then take it to the fair and show it. I mean, tell me about a daily, like what does a day look like in the event of somebody that's going to be showing an animal coming up?
So in terms of just having show animals in the barn, I feel like the normal day looks like you go down and feed everything, then you go and you get through school. For some people that might be a little easier than others. Day to day it might be easier than others. And then as soon as you get home, you rush down to the barn, you go and work with your lamb or goat. So that would include working on showmanship. So you have to walk them around. Sheep you walk by hand, goat you use either a collar or halter. And then just teaching them how to stand and brace. So you've got to set their legs and then you've got to stand in front of them and brace them. And then also hair and hide care is a big part of these show animals today. So with sheep, I'm just going to go straight into the sheep because I am more involved in them than I am with the goats, but goats are very similar still. And so you would put them up on a fitting table where they're up off the ground, and then you can wash their legs. And you don't want to wash their body because that'll get the lanolin out. I know goats you can, but with sheep you just don't want to rinse all of those natural oils out. So we try and only wash them when we're going to clip them. But in terms of washing their leg wool, we call it shag. It's just kind of livestock slang, pretty much. And so then you'll wash it with shampoo and conditioner, and then there's different sprays that you can put in. Just kind of like when girls take care of their own hair, they put products in them to help it grow, shine, healthy, all of that. We do the same thing with the sheep and the goats, where you just take care of the hair, you help it grow, because when you get to the show, you want them to have a ton of hair or wool at their legs, and then it comes out and just looks extremely like poofy. Almost, you trim it to almost look like a bell bottom, pretty much.
And so you're trimming the sheep to a specific way, or is there
so you'll
different
clip the body really short, so we use bigger clippers for that, and then you'll shear them pretty close to the skin, but they'll have a little bit of hair still. And then when you get down to the legs, then you're going to start blending it, is what we call. Similar to a guy's haircut, where it kind of like short and then it fades to a little bit longer, where you just want to keep that shape that we want. It almost looks like a Christmas tree, kind of, or it'll be tighter around the hock, and then it'll come out to being stouter and wider around their foot. So just going for that is what the show ring decided is what we want our sheep to look like. So now it's what we do.
So does a lot of your your judging experience come into your business that when you're as a breeder come into play now?
I would definitely say that being on a livestock judging team has affected how I choose livestock, on what group they're going to go into. Are they going to be keeper ewes? Are they ram lamb potentials? Are they going to go into the auction, like the 805 sale? Am I just going to sell them as private treaty? I'd say that developing that knowledge of what I want sheep to look for, just seeing livestock across the country has definitely impacted how I view that. And then for each breeder, it's a little bit different because I know some people that have been breeding sheep for a few decades. They're still pretty much keeping up with all the new trends that are going along, very involved in the industry. Most of us, we go to shows, we watch sales, we see everything that's been happening within the show industry, and just trying to keep up on what good livestock look like today, what's going to keep up with the trend.
Is there some sort of education along the process for, say, a new kid that's going to be showing to pass on the animal at the end? I mean, once they auction it off, I mean, they take that animal and, do what it is as they do. Mm-hmm. That process, to help the kids get past now little Peanut is, not coming home again.
I'd say for each kid that's a little different. I remember my first fair lamb. I showed him at Salinas Valley Fair. His name was Gimli, and he might have been the only sheep I ever cried over. There might have been one or two others. But I'd say for each kid, it's a little different. I was a little tougher emotionally than some, but other kids, I know plenty of kids that I help. Every year, they have a very hard time letting go of their sheep. And I think just remembering that is the end goal of these sheep, that is what they are meant to be. And I understand for a 9-year-old, that's not always going to get through to them. But just as you grow up, it becomes easier. You get used to it. For me, I feel like it was never that difficult because I had 10 other sheep back home.
Right.
I would go home and it's like, oh, well, I still have to feed every morning. I still have to wash every morning. But for a lot of these kids, it's not like that. They go home after fair. Now there's no animal in the pen. So I think just learning how to individually deal with that is really the only way to do it. It does get easier, I promise.
Well, we're talking about, how these different organizations build, your foundation, and as a youth growing up, business and talking and responsibilities, and also, loss. Essentially, mm-hmm. At the end of the game, it's a loss.
Yeah, it definitely is. But just once you figure out how to deal with it on your own, there will be the occasional sheep or goat that you do not bond with, that you do not like. Those are the easiest to
You're
get
like,
rid of.
Get on out of here.
But there will definitely be the few that are extremely difficult to leave. But it's just something that you learn to understand that this animal is going into the food chain. It's what they were meant to do. Our dogs and cats at home are not like that. We can stay attached to them. But the sheep, it's like they are meat animals, and then you do have to understand that eventually.
They're bred for a reason.
Yes, eventually they're going to go away.
So we're talking about the Premier 805 Lamb and Goat Sale coming up this weekend, Sunday. So if you guys aren't, if you're looking at getting your lamb or sheep, it's this weekend at the Paso Robles Event Center, 9 to, I believe it starts 9 to, I think it's going to go on a while. There's going to be at least 100 animals there for auction and or the buy pen or the whatever you call that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for the $600 pen, that will be a raffle. So you'll get a ticket at the beginning of the sale.
So you may or may not get one of those animals. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be just a draw.
Yes.
Got it. And so they'll be I think there'll be some vendors there. There'll also be some supplement feed vendors there as well for questioning, correct?
Yes, I know Premier Ag is very involved. They will have people there to ask questions, buy products from all of that. Associated will be there. And then several other vendors are going to be there that you can talk to, buy products from, ask questions, all of that. And then, of course, the breeders will be there to ask questions from.
Do you have a business name for your...
So my business is Wagster Livestock. So,
Wagster Livestock.
yeah, so that consists of me and my parents.
Okay. And do these this livestock that you raise and breed, do you have repeat business to where they're buying from you every year as well?
Yes, I do have repeat customers that buy from me every year. A lot of those people will buy private treaty lambs, so ones that don't get put in auctions, but they'll come to my house and buy from me. Or then I also have repeat buyers that will come and look at sheep that are going in sales or know that I'm consigning sheep to sales, and then they will just go to the sales and look for sheep and buy from me there. And every breeder pretty much has a repeat buyer base that are of kids that are pretty loyal to them or have gone to them for several years. And just not only is that important for breeders of having kids that are willing to come back to you and obviously had a good enough experience that they want to come back to you, but then that also will put your name out as a breeder of having nice livestock that people enjoy to show, that people want to show, and then from there, it just expands.
Now, is this event free this weekend? I believe so.
Yes, it is free to go to. Anyone can go to it. If you want to buy a lamb, then you will register to have your bidder number at the front, and then the only thing you have to pay for is food and whatever animal you decide to buy.
And if somebody just wants to come down and check it out, even if they're not buying anything, they can buy a tri-tip sandwich.
Yes.
I believe the 4-H is cooking over there.
Yes, so we will have tri-tip sandwiches available for purchase, and then anyone that wants to come and check out the sale, they are more than welcome to come and see how it works, see what's there, talk to people, see what vendors are there, see what type of animals we have. All of that is more than encouraged.
And I'm sure you guys will be on hand as well to answer any questions for a potential, new family wanting to kind of tread lightly into the 4-H world.
Yes, anyone that has questions about wanting to get involved or how to get involved, there will be several individuals there that are willing to answer whatever questions you might have.
Awesome. Well, Elizabeth, thanks so much for coming on, and looking forward to Sunday. We'll be out there broadcasting, so hopefully we'll be able to talk to you a little bit on Sunday and, have an introduction to a couple of your projects that you have going on.
Yes, definitely.
So, awesome. So thanks again for coming on and talking about the Premier 805 Lamb and Goat Sale coming up this weekend.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, guys. Hey, if you guys got nothing going on this Sunday at the Paso Robles Event Center, you got the 805 Premier Lamb and Goat Sale happening. Even if you're not going to buy nothing, come on down and buy yourself a tri-tip sandwich, because trust me, it's one of the best ones that you'll ever taste. So get on down there to the Paso Robles Event Center this Sunday from starting at 9 a.m. And support these local kids. But as always, we can't do this without you and our sponsors. We'd like to thank Escalar Wine Travelers Hideaway, Visit Atascadero, 805 Customs, MGP Coatings, Premier Ag, Trailer Barn, Story Termite Pest Control, Borhone Auto Center, Kennedy Club Fitness, Airflow Filter Services, and Templeton Heating and Air. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you this Sunday. When it comes to comfort, trust the team that's been keeping the North County homes cozy since 1995. At Templeton Heating and Air Conditioning, they're your hometown pros right here in Templeton. From tune-ups to repairs, remodels to new construction, even duct replacements and attic ventilation, they got you covered. Call your neighbors at 805-434-3741. Templeton Heating and Air Conditioning. Local, trusted, dependable.
Hi, I'm Glenn McWilliams.
And I'm Annie. As sixth-generation farmers, we understand what it takes to keep a ranch, a farm, and a community growing strong.
And that's why we started Premier Ag, to bring quality feed, trusted Western wear, and real service to the Central Coast.
From hay delivery across the county to hands-on support for local youth and ag programs, we're proud to give back to the community that raised us.
And when we say from seed to stable, we mean it. We've walked the fields, we've fed the animals, and now we're here to serve families just like yours.
Come visit us at 1041 Paso Robles Street in Paso Robles and experience the difference of a store built by farmers for farmers.
From seed to store, where quality meets country.
Hi, this is Dave Story, small game hunter with Story Termite and Pest. We're a full-service termite and pest control company. From rodents to termites, we can take care of all your pest control needs. Call today. We can tailor a pest control program that will meet your needs and budget. Contact us at 805-460-0650 or at storytermite.com. Remember, we don't have customers, we have friends.
Looking for a top quality concrete coating in SLO County? Hi, I'm Matt Gifford with MGP Coatings, your trusted local expert in durable, long-lasting concrete coatings backed by Pentec's limited lifetime warranty. Whether it's residential or commercial, we deliver expert craftsmanship, premium products, and unbeatable customer service. When we say we make concrete great again, we mean it. As a locally owned, community-driven company, we take pride in transforming garages, patios, pool decks, wineries, and even interior spaces into stunning, functional areas. Are you ready to upgrade your space? Give us a call at 805-952-5301. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or visit mattgiffordpainting.com. Join the MGP Coating family today.
What's up, North County? This is Teresa Branch with Airflow Filter Service. We are a family-owned business right here in the North County. We have air filters, oils and lubricants, and hydraulic hoses. We provide services that include air filter cleaning, DPF cleaning, and waste oil collection. Come check us out at 1140 Ramada Drive, and we can help you with all your automotive and industrial vehicle needs.
Atascadero isn't your standard getaway. We're unique, just like you. We're growing, transforming, and figuring it out as we go. We're a town filled with innovators, artists, makers, and game changers. We're a little bit country, a little bit funky, and always authentic. We're here for your good times, your slow times, and your changing times. We're all in Atascadero. Come see for yourself. Learn more at visitatascadero.com.